After chatting it up about the Herculoids and bonding over Buckaroo Banzai, I talk with Zig Zag Claybourne as he shares his peak athletic moment, a surprising place he likes to write, and his failure to back that thing up. DJ Prime, play the music. Welcome to Damon Does, your nerd space safe place. I am Damon, father of two, husband of one, and leader of this here Demodcast. Now, before we get started, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Also, leave a review on your favorite podcast app so more can join the conversation. Now, this week in Geek was a bit less than I'd like. We were snowed in, which would normally be some good gaming, but alas, it was not meant to be. Hopefully there'll be more here next week. And now, my next guest. Last time we talked about Buckaroo Banzai, his dream of writing the Herculoids screenplay, and the philosophy of James Baldwin. So who knows what we'll get into this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Zig Zag Claybourne!
Oh, I got to get you to do that like every single time I do anything. Oh, thank you for having me back, brother.
Yeah, thank you for coming back. I recently re-listened to our first meeting, and I was like, man, I was like, wow, that was really cool. That was a good time, man. So yeah, I'm stoked to have you back. What interesting things have happened since we last talked?
It's been a couple years. I mean, you know what? The trying to keep track of time these days is almost impossible.
That's
I
true.
think since last we talked, well, I know what I wrote a new book, so that's out now, which was kickstarted and everything. First time I've done that. What else have I done besides try to avoid getting coughed on by people? I think that's been pretty much my 24/7 right there. Just run out the house, try not to get coughed on, run back in the house.
You know what? Sometimes simple is better. That sounds like a very simple life.
You know what? It's simple, not very sexy, but simple. So I can maintain it for a little while.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense. Try to keep him getting coughed on. That's funny. Please remind the people where you would like to be found on the internet.
You can find me at zzclaybourne.com, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Just look for ZZ Claybourne, you'll find me. You won't find me on Twitter anymore since Twitter doesn't exist. No
You might,
OnlyFans yet.
you might want to come over to Threads. Give that a shot. It's like Twitter, but
Oh,
without the
yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people saying good things about Threads, but I don't know if I've hit my social threshold yet or not. It's like every other week there's like a new thing to jump onto. I'm like, I just want to write these books, y'all. I ain't got time to be clever online.
Yeah, and then you got to do the marketing or find or get a team. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a whole lot. I mean, the way the industry has changed, not just for traditional publishing, but even indie publishing, and that's changed so much, which in a way is a blessing because the publishing industry needs change desperately all around.
Can you now bypass the gatekeepers basically with the way things are now in indie publishing?
Pretty much. I mean, it's kind of like how the record industry opened up to everybody back in the day when everybody and their granny decided they were going to be a producer. The technology has opened up doors where indie artists can produce works of equal or better quality than the major publishers. Like if you put things side by side and on a shelf, you won't know the difference. And even distribution has opened things up a bit.
It's true too.
Yeah. I kind of love the fact that a lot of indie artists right now, and not just writers, but musicians and everything, they're getting their work out to people who want it directly.
Mm-hmm.
Cut out the middleman. And the middleman is has always been there simply to take the bulk of the money. I mean, that's about the only way to cut it. I mean, yes, in trad publishing they have resources that they devote to the writers, but on the whole, the writer has always gotten the short stick. And right now, with the way technology has opened things up, the stick is starting to get just a little bit longer, so to speak.
Nice. It's always nice to see when the workers have more power. And in this case, the worker is the author, or like if this was if you were doing comics, it'd be the author and the illustrator. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So yeah, so it's like yay! Yeah, look, this David Law's at. Hmm?
Little mini revolution happening.
Yep. Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope it continues and continues to spread in more areas.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, are you ready to answer another 6 questions?
Bring it, bring it.
Question number 6. What's the one thing you'd be really disappointed if you never get to experience?
I love that question because I never get asked about what I want. All right, to keep things PG, a two-person soaker tub. And that's not even a matter of the nibbly bits. It's about being so comfortable with somebody that just chilling in water is cool. I have always wanted, well, since I was adult, a two-person soaker tub. And I mean, you'd have the Prince candles around. You got the music, the bubbles, the doves. I want it all like that. And if I don't get that in this lifetime, I'm coming back in the next.
That is when my wife and I first got together, and we moved. I moved into her place. It had a tub, and we're two short people, so we could both fit in it. And one of
It's
my
bliss, ain't it?
one of my early memories of that time period was just sitting there talking about our day and just enjoy each other's company, just like, sitting in the tub, man. So that just reminded me of that. So thank you for that reminder. I
It's
appreciate that.
beautiful. I've shared a shower with somebody, and that's lovely.
Hmm.
But the tub is the epitome of relaxation for me. I mean, I do most of my writing in the tub.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm so comfortable in there. It's isolated. It's like being in an altered states chamber. You get in there and you just enter different worlds, no interruptions. Oh yeah, I'm a big proponent of getting in the bathtub with a pad of paper and a pen and just letting your mind flow.
How did you discover this to be your process?
Oh, entirely by accident. I grew up in a big family. Sister, four brothers, no, five brothers. So six of us total. Privacy was a premium. So anytime I would go in the bathroom, that was my reading time. That was my, do not knock on this door, don't bother me. And I think that carried over into my adulthood, where anytime I needed to be just inside my own zone, it was the bathroom. And I've always loved taking baths. I mean, I know a lot of boys just like, I just don't want to bathe. I was one of them boys like, please run me some bath water. And I'd be in there just happy as could be. So it seemed like it was just a natural progression just to take a writing pad in there when I started writing and just doodle along, and it kept going.
That's really cool.
And I have never dropped a writing pad in the water. Now, I ain't gonna take a laptop in there because that's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take your chances
Yeah.
with the paper. You'll be all right.
Yeah, we ain't got replaced laptop money every other week, so
We ain't got to replace zigzag anything.
right.
Question number 5. What's something that you're proud of, but you never get to brag about?
I am not a sports person. I don't play it. I don't watch it. Even when I was a kid, I mean, I love playing dodgeball. That's about it. But back in maybe sixth grade in gym, we had to play floor hockey, which none of us knew how to do. It's a bunch of black kids running around not knowing a clue about playing floor hockey. So the coach decided he was going to get on the floor and show us how it's done. So we out there running around, swinging at this little thing, trying not to hit each other with these. What do you even call the sticks? I guess sticks. So technical for hockey. And I scored a goal, and not just any goal. I scored on the coach. I whipped around his butt, popped that little puck, and like boom. And my eyes went, oh my lord, I just sportsed. And then, didn't happen just once. Same game. I scored on the coach 3 times. And he wasn't trying to let folks score. Because he was one of them, dudes where he got to prove himself. One of those old school coaches. I was so pumped up from that. I mean, not pumped up enough to want to go into doing sports. Oh, hells no. I was just like, okay, this is kind of cool for a one-time thing. And I've never forgotten that. And there's been maybe 3 people since that happened in my entire life that I have told that story to because I had no reason to tell it. I mean, you don't just, break out on a date. I scored 3 goals on my coach back in sixth grade. That's the end of the date. So that's that one. I am so proud of myself for scoring those. First time playing floor hockey, last time playing floor hockey, and I put that man in his place.
I have to ask, how did it come up 2 other times?
Once I was actually dating somebody who was into sports. So she was telling me about her basketball and whatnot. And so of course she asked, "What do you do?" And I'm like, I scored 3 goals in the sixth grade." I mean, that was pretty much it. People who are into sports love to tell you they're into sports, and then you got to come up with some sports for them.
And it's genius because it's really it's a humbling thing. And it says everything you need to know about you and your relationship with sports
Yes.
in a very succinct way. That's fantastic. Question number 4. What is something you're really bad at?
Oh, this one is so easy here. I cannot back a car up to save my life. I can get in back into a space if ain't nobody on the other side of me. And even then, folks on periphery make sure your insurance is paid up because I don't know what happens when I put a car into reverse. Something blanks out of my brain. So I am never going to be one of those people like in the movies where you jump in a getaway car and the dude is driving backwards through the city to get away from police. No, if I'm behind the wheel, we might as well just lay down on the ground with our hands behind our head because we ain't going nowhere.
No Italian job here.
No Italian job, no baby driver, no Fast and Furious. It ain't about family with me. It's just I cannot drive backwards. Now everybody knows my shame. But I got friends. This is one dude who's a truck driver, a big semi driver, and he can whip that thing around into parking spaces like he's in a Corvette. I mean, people can do it. How they do that though? I have never figured that out. And I had a wrecked a car trying to back up. It was my truck driving friends. So I've been trying to live that down for the past like 20 years. In my defense, he had this long ass driveway that sloped downward, and I had borrowed his pickup truck to help somebody move, and I was just going to park on the street when I brought her back. But they're like, no, no, just pull up in the driveway. And I'm like, no. He said, yeah, just back up in the driveway. It's wide open. You'll be all right. I'm backing up. There's a house on one side, his house, other house on the other side. I'm like, stay up right in the middle. And we didn't have those cameras on the cars then, so I'm just trying my best to look at both mirrors simultaneously. And all of a sudden, all I hear is, yeah, yeah, concrete brick work. Don't treat a car right. That's all I'm gonna say.
Question number 3. What's the nicest thing anyone has ever done for you?
Let me think on that for a second, because to be honest, a lot of people have done outstanding things for me my whole life. I mean, I'm not one of those that's gonna pretend I had it so hard. You know, I'm one of those. I give love, I get love. All right, I think I'm gonna go back to school. Back to this was high school, and I was always the kid who was always all right. Level-headed, all that. But one day, this teacher must have seen something in me, and she was a cool teacher. I loved her. She was just one of those people who weren't there just for the job. And after class, she pulled me aside one day and very simply asked, "Was I all right?" And I mean, I never heard that a teacher do that. I didn't know what she saw in me to make her ask that question, but it stopped me and had me thinking, okay, am I all right? Because I never stopped to ask myself that. And I remember walking home trying not to cry because she'd asked that simple, highly compassionate question. And I think that was one of the nicest things anybody has ever done for me because it stopped me from thinking I had to be all right all the time. Yeah. And I think about her at least like once a month, literally, because I've met so few people who had that level of sensitivity and were willing to show it. And when I say so few people, I know family and lovers and friends do, but people in my professional life, people like teachers, professors, who you don't think are going to stop for that unless you're just tore up. But that was kindness above and beyond, and it wasn't the only time she's shown that kind of kindness to me. Different kinds of kindness. But just asking that simple question, "Are you all right?" stayed with me, and I don't think it's ever gonna leave me.
Question number 2. What is your favorite thing about yourself?
That one's easy. My ability to chill. I I love the fact that I can get home from work, put my bathrobe on, and see my living room has a big picture window. And when I look outside, I can see the clouds, I can see the trees blowing, birds and squirrels. And I can literally sit there for hours just chilling, looking at absolutely nothing and feel zero guilt about it. That's like my superpower is chillaxing. I don't know if people still say chillaxing. Well, I ain't never said I was cool, so I'm gonna say chillaxing. But that's I am so proud that I can do that.
I have 2 responses to what you had just said. One, do you have any tips on how one could go from being a little more high strung or is chillax impaired, if you will, right?
Okay.
If someone is chillax impaired, like, what kind of beginner tips do you have?
Number one beginner tip, get rid of that sense of guilt. That sense that you have to do something or you are either being lazy or unproductive. Get rid of that because chilling is productivity. That old, what is it, puritanical thinking that if you're not working yourself to the bone, you're not working. That's bull. I'm glad I learned that at a fairly early age. So that's it. Get rid of that sense of guilt because you can't. Nobody can do everything at all times. And even if you think you can, if you're constantly going and exhausting yourself, what you're doing is cutting back on how marvelous you could be. And I think folks deserve to be as marvelous as they can be. There we go. Woosah that.
And now I have to ruin it by telling you the other thing I was thinking about, which was we were talking about chillaxing. Here's my thought on slang. It's okay if you know what it means, but at a certain age, you don't use it. You use your what was cool when you were a teenager. You use what was cool to you when you were a teenager, and you do not stray more than one generation past that. And then when you are older, be able to translate the slang, but don't use it unless to annoy younger relatives. Then that, of course, is a special case, special case by case basis.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Word and everything else. Cause yeah, you will never hear me use the word chillax anywhere but here.
I ought to beep it out and have people wondering what words you keep saying. It's
But
like,
that was a cool word though. I mean, we had Fresh Prince talking about it and everything. Cause that's I came up when Fresh in the '80s, Fresh Prince and all that. Everybody was chillaxing, maxing. I don't know what they do now.
that I will have to ask my oldest because she even though she's a dork, she might know. I'll get you a glossary, and that way you'll be able to understand the kids around you.
There we go. We can increase our riz. And you know what? I actually had a chance to prove how uncool I was by telling I think my young nephew who was, you know, talking to his friends. And I, of course, had to tell him, that Riz came from the word charisma, right? And he just looked at me like, why are you here? Why do you exist? Please disappear, which I did.
Your Homer retreating into the bushes.
Yes. But my point had been made. It's like, okay, y'all, just because you come up with a cool sounding word like Riz, it has a source.
A little sideways thing. My dad used to say when I was growing up, "I ain't studying you," and I had
Yes.
no idea what that meant. I knew what it meant out of context. Obviously, he did not care what I thought. That was clear. But I never knew what the words actually meant. And I didn't ask him until I was probably in my 30s. And I was like, oh, he's like, oh, I'm not studying you, meaning I'm not paying attention to you. I was like, wow, that's a really mean thing to say to somebody.
It is. I mean, we would get told, our mamas would tell us that I ain't studying you.
I was like, wow, that's a really well done way of telling
Yes,
somebody you are insignificant.
entirely.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, folks talk about getting burned nowadays. Y'all don't know.
Question number one. If you had unlimited funds, what would you create?
That's another easy one because that's on my mind a lot, especially in these days of people spending $40 billion to buy a social media network just because their girlfriend got rid of them. I would try to help create a more equitable society. To me, what Musk has done is a total waste of resources, industrially and socially, personally for himself. It's like he is one of the most unsuccessful humans around as far as I'm concerned. And to me, success does not mean money. He can have all the money in the world, but look at what he's done. I'd be paying, pumping dollars into health, housing, leisure. People need wellness. If I had unlimited wealth like that, there would be no food deserts. You know, there would be no need, I think, to have GoFundMe's to pay for operations. Because not just saying I would give money to it, but the way that, especially American society works, if I have money, I have voice. So I would use that voice, to affect policy in ways that actually benefit everybody and not ways that just benefit folks who are sitting around on their yachts or their luxury mansions and whatnot like that, which is how we are in this mess that we're in now. There's so much that happens that is not to the benefit of anybody except for those who already have. And that I would not stand for.
Any projects you would like to tell us about?
I just finished, right, well, revising the sequel to a book I just released earlier this year, a fantasy called Breath, Warmth, and Dream. So it's going to be a trilogy. The second one, I just finished revising it. I'm sending it to the copy editor by the end of this week. It should be dropping next year. And I'm already ready for the third book. So I'm in a good space creatively. Not doing a lot of like short stories. Matter of fact, I think the last short story I did, oh, there was the one in fantasy and science fiction. I think, was it last year or year before? Like I said, time is weird now. But that was a cool story. But this trilogy is something that I'm feeling really, really happy about because I've had people tell me reading it is giving them joy. And that is a precious commodity.
What is the elevator pitch for your trilogy? Like for the first book?
A black woman and her daughter travel in magical world and they're witches. So it is not about the magical systems. I wanted to do a fantasy that was about the people. And in my heart and mind, a black mother and her daughter never get to have that kind of adventure. So Breath, Warmth, and Dream is all about Ayanda Kamalo, her daughter Amnandi, and Ayanda simply wants her daughter to experience the world because she is in this world and she deserves it. But during their travels, they, as witches, wind up helping people with various things. So I wouldn't say it's a cozy fantasy. It actually gets a little dark, like the old fairy tales, like those old Grimm's fairy tales. I wanted to put an edge on it. But overall, these books are just love letters to the strength of black mothers, whether they got powers or not.
You keep getting my money.
Well, that's the only way I'm going to be able to create this fair and equitable society. Y'all send me that much money.
Any parting words?
Parting words should always be about love, I think. So y'all just love yourselves, and in doing so, you love others. I don't think it gets any more deep than that.
Zig Zag, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I love talking to you because you just take my brain places it don't usually get to go.
Again, thank you once again for joining us, whether it's your first time or this time for the 6 questions. If you like the show, tell the world. Please jump on your podcast app and leave a 5-star review and tell your friends. That's the best way to grow the show, and more can join the conversation. And until next time, see it, hear it, speak it, live.